Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Monster Families. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the duo known as the Zakarum Zealots and the Zakarum Priests that usually spawn together. The Zakarum Zealots are basically just regular, like, foot soldiers, and the Zakarum Priests are essentially corrupted Zakarum Priests that used to be, part of the Zakarum Church, but have fallen to Mephisto's evil schemes. If we read the Zakarum Priest, it says, originally there were 12 Grand Inquisitors who were appointed by the Church to ascertain the vile influence in the populace. Any who were suspected of demonic corruption were investigated thoroughly and forced to undergo ritualistic spiritual examinations. If an individual was found corrupted and he could not be saved, then he was quickly put to death, and as the influence of Diablo, Baal, and Mephisto spread across Kyrgyzstan, the number of Inquisitors needed to increase. Now the Zakarum Priest fills the role of judge, jury, and, well, the Zakarum Zealots are the executioners to anyone who is considered corrupted. The powers of the light flow strongly within these holy men, and they command the elements, combined with the ability to heal their wounds of their followers, makes the priests Zakarum powerful allies and dangerous enemies, as well as super annoying. Take out the Zakarum priests as quickly as possible to stop them from healing other monsters. Cold and lightning resistance helps a lot against Zakarum priests. Sextons have the ability to deal lightning damage. Cantors and Hierophants have a chance to deal cold damage, and though Hierophant is a spelling used in the game, the correct spelling is not what they have in the game. Zakarum priests also use several spells. They have the ability to use lightning, which is the sorceress spell, heal, which seems to be specifically a monster spell, also similar to bestow or Zakarum heal. In the monster stats, it's actually referred to as Zakarum heal. Which I found a little bit of information on. They have the ability to teleport, and also they can cast Blizzard. They're one of the few monsters in the game that can cast Blizzard, and Blizzard can be particularly devastating if you don't have any cold res. The heal seems to be a percentage-based heal on everything that I could find. I got some information from the data, and basically what it said is that the ability has Zakarum Heal, here it is. Zakarum Heal, which is the actual name of the ability, heals by a minimum percentage or a maximum percentage, which explains why it's so overpowered, because in Players 8, when they use it, and they just heal 50 or 75% of the monster's HP, and you're just like, oh my god, please stop. It's not a flat amount, and if it was a flat amount, it would obviously diminish with higher player counts, but in this particular case, it does not diminish. It seems to be a percentage-based, so with higher player counts, it's actually getting stronger, technically, because if a monster has 10k in players 1, and they heal for 50%, well, that's 5,000, and then if they have 100k in players 8, and they heal for 50%, well, that's 50,000. So it definitely seems to get a lot stronger in higher difficulties, and these guys are super annoying, because they're usually around the council, and the council can already heal, and if you have enough of these Zakarum priests with the council can sometimes be freaking indestructible, I swear. And that also comes down to the fact that the council has a ridiculous amount of HP as well, having one of the highest HP pools in the game of 22,844 unbuffed, which means that they can easily rise above 100,000 HP per monster. The Zakarum priests are pretty nasty, but in combination with their minions, they get even worse, because the minions tend to block you from being able to get to the Zakarum priests, and those are the Zakarum zealots. In ages past, the Archangel Urius visited a young ascetic named Akarat and revealed to him the tenets of what to become the religion of Zakarum. These teachings stress the necessity of resisting all things evil and embracing with total devotion the light. The angel appointed Akarat to be the prophet of these new teachings and bade him to take the word of the people of all lands. This new religion spoke directly to the common man, and the people of Kurast embraced it. They sent disciples throughout Kyrgyzstan to spread the word. Popular religious leaders soon sprung up, endorsed by the new church, and within a half a century, the Zakarum was the dominant order of faith and binding political force in the East. As the religion of Zakarum took hold in the East, they encountered many enclaves of demonic followers. Some of these were fully corrupted and easily identified, but many were subtle demonic influence and appeared to be noble and good. The Hand of Zakarum was an order of warriors consecrated by the church and given the powers of light. These paladins led armies of Kyrgyzstan against the forces of darkness, pursuing them tirelessly and leaving no territory unexamined. It was often a difficult task to sort out the wicked from the loyal, but they were relentless in their quest. The forces of chaos actively resisted the Holy Scourge, often by claiming that the paladins themselves were corrupt against evil. There were times when Hell managed to trick these holy warriors into killing an innocent in the hope that it would spread doubt within the church. Occasionally, the zeal of a paladin would cross the line into fanaticism and thus opening up to evil influences. The demonic host took every chance to plant seeds of chaos, and the forces of light fought endlessly to weed out every hint of corruption. It is this zeal that drives the Zakarum to battle any they deem to be corrupt. The zealots are directed by their priests and will bring their righteous wrath down upon any who they believe to be tainted by the touch of the three. Now, once you've completed the council quest and you've managed to kill the council, the zealots will actually run away from you all the time, and it's really annoying. But it kind of makes sense because you've defeated their strongest warriors, and the Zakarum zealots are now afraid of you. Now, this, in combined with the fact that the Zakarum priests will heal them, makes them extremely difficult to kill. Imagine you're fighting a monster, the monster's not dying, you finally get him down to low health, he starts to run away, the Zakarum priests heal him, he comes back to smack you again, and this cycle repeats over and over again. It's really quite annoying. Unfortunately, most of the time when you're fighting these monsters, you either ignore them or you try to kill the priests at the very least and maybe hope that these guys stand still long enough for you to murder them. If you're a ranged character, it's not too bad, but if you're a melee, you're pretty much just going to be chasing them around everywhere, which sucks balls. The Zakarum priests appear in a lot of different places. They don't just appear in Act 3, they also appear in Act 5 in the like Neelathak Temple and whatnot, which is, let's see here. Where are you, Zakarum priests? There they are, Zakarum priests and Zakarum zealots. So the Zakarum priests do appear in, I believe it's just Neelathak's temple, and they're pretty nasty in Neelathak's temple as well, to be perfectly honest. They're not particularly very strong, but the problem with them is a lot of times they spawn in packs, and then there's multiple healing each other, and they literally cross-heal each other, which makes it very difficult, and then you end up getting surrounded by all the stupid Zakarum warriors at the same time, and it just ends up being like a poop fest. I really don't like fighting these guys because it's really inefficient time-wise because of how much they spam heals. And if you don't have particularly high cold res or lightning res, the lightning and the blizzard that they spam on a regular basis can lock you down. Their resistances to physical are very low, but it doesn't really matter because they spam heals on everybody. Their magic resist is 0. Their fire resist is pretty low as well. Their cold resist is really high. They're technically immune to cold most of the time, except for the Cantor in hell difficulty, and the Cantor is immune to lightning. But the other two don't really have very high lightning resistance. They also don't really have good poison resistance either. So they're relatively weak, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt to kill them sometimes. The Zakarum, on the other hand, tend to be more on the physical side of things where they deal pretty good damage, but they're also kind of weak. They're both kind of propped up by the whole healing aspect of things. They don't really have good physical resistance, no magical resistance. They have okay fire res, except for the Zakarumite, which is immune to fire. They have okay cold, except for the Faithful, which is immune to cold. And a bunch of them have lightning immunities, which is interesting, but they don't really have any poison resistance at all. In general, they're not very strong monsters. It's really just the combination of the fact that the priest is constantly like artillery spamming blizzards and lightnings, while the Zakarum zealots manage to push their way into the front and essentially keep you from being able to kill the healers. And the healers are in the back spamming heals on the Zakarum zealots. The best way to deal with them is almost always to kill the priests first. It's not always possible, but if you can kill the priests, definitely kill the priests. Because otherwise you're just going to spend a long time trying to kill Zakarum zealots for no reason. If you have enough damage, you could just one-shot the zealots, and like, who cares? But if you don't have enough damage and you find yourself struggling with the zealots, the healers in the back are just going to make your life a living hell. So you definitely want to go for them first. Isolating them is important, especially if there's multiple priests. Like, for instance, if you get into a situation where they're cross-healing each other, stunning them, freezing them, pushing them like with knockback out of the way of each other. There's a lot of various ways you can potentially make these monsters much easier to kill in general, just by simply forcing them into areas that makes them advantageous for you. And they're not that hard to find either. They're all over the place. If you go to Travancore, they're guaranteed to be in Travancore basically every single time. Let's go hop into Travancore real quick, and we'll go take a look at some of them. All right, so once you get to Traffic Call, it's almost impossible not to find these guys. Like here's an elite one right here, Star Maim the Howler. As you can see, he's spamming lightning on me. They tend to prefer lightning, I noticed, although they will spam the blizzard occasionally. They also cross heal each other and they heal their minions too. So if you start attacking some of their minions, you'll notice that the heals will start pouring in for their minions. And it seems to be a pretty considerable heal. You generally just don't want to attack the Zealots because they spend a lot of time healing. Well, they just heal everything. If they're by themselves, they're particularly easy to kill. Like just one healer by himself isn't a big deal. The main issue comes into play when you have multiple healers cross healing each other, and also technically the council can also potentially get in on this. So the council members can heal, and also those Hierophants can heal. They can heal the council members, and the council members can also heal the Hierophants, which makes for a absolutely ridiculously stupid cross-healing equation, which I just can't stand. If you ever see Hierophants outside of the council chambers or even inside the council chambers, your best bet is to deal with the Hierophants first because they're much weaker. They have lower HP pools. They're much easier to kill in general, and they can even heal through walls. So if you ever see like Hierophants on the outside of the building, on the back of the building, a lot of the times when you go fight the council, you'll have an easy time. And then that one time, everything just seems to be going wrong. Like the monsters seem to be much tankier than normal. And sometimes if you go look behind the council chambers, you'll find like a bunch of Hierophants standing back here spamming heals on the council members, which of course makes the entire process take much longer and makes it way more annoying. You can also potentially lock them in hit recovery bonuses, like for instance, leap. You can leap on them, let your mercenaries kill them, things like this. Anything that stops them from healing is good. Prevent Monster Heal doesn't work on them because it's not a regeneration effect. Prevent Monster Heal is for regeneration. And the heal that they're casting is not regeneration. It is a direct percentage-based heal, which just essentially bypasses the normal method. So here's a situation right here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 healers. So if I start attacking one healer, you'll notice that the other healers come in pretty quickly to cover the gap, essentially, and start spamming heals on the other two. Now, if you put out enough damage, you can definitely kill them. But if you're struggling on damage output for some reason, you will find that killing the Hierophants when there are a bunch of other Hierophants nearby is a pain in the butt. One of the easiest ways, like I said, to deal with it is just to get them away from each other. So, like, for instance, right now I'm running a Barbarian, and I could potentially, if I needed to, I could simply push them away from each other. So I could use the leap ability to just slowly push the Hierophant in the opposite direction, out of the range of the other Hierophant, and I could essentially just, once he's out of range, pick him off and not have to worry about it. There's charge, there's knockback abilities, there's freeze abilities. There is, of course, Holy Freeze, which slows them down. There is Smite, which stuns them. Bash knocks them back. There's a stun Barbarian ability. I mean, there's Shockwave on the Bear Druid. There's tons of different abilities that you can potentially use to lock them down and stop them from healing. And that's really all you have to do, is just lock them down and stop them from healing. It's kind of the same thing with these guys too. Even though these guys don't heal, they run away. So if you want to kill them, locking them down and killing them tends to be the best bet. You can freeze them, you can stun them, you can get in their way and block their path with a giant army and they can't go anywhere. There's a bunch of different ways you can potentially deal with it, or you can just ignore them because they're honestly annoying and they run away everywhere. Overall, like these monsters, this pack of monsters is definitely one of the more annoying packs, just simply because of the spamming of the heals, the spells that they put out, and the fact that these monsters just tend to run away from you. So, like, it causes this weird chain reaction of, like, I really just don't like fighting these monsters. Unfortunately, though, Council is one of the better places to farm. So if you are a, item find barbarian, or you just like to simply kill the Council for, chances at good loot, I mean, you're probably going to have to kill them at some point because a lot of the times they spawn not only inside of here, But they also spawn on the outside along the edges, and they spawn outside in this particular courtyard, as well as behind the council, to the left of the council, and to the right of the council. And depending on how many healers there are, you might have to just go deal with them before you fight the council, because they can be a pain in the butt. Once you have all the cross healing going on between all the council members and the healers themselves, depending on your damage output, of course, if you can kill them quickly, then that's another story. But if your damage output isn't particularly strong, you're not going to be able to out heal like a full group of these and the council all spamming cross heals on each other. It's just not going to happen. I think that's pretty much it with these guys. They are animals, so they're not technically beasts. If you resurrect them, they will not heal. I can't even remember if they teleport, but I think they still do cast Blizzard and Lightning. They make okay resurrects, I guess. Not really the greatest. And these guys make okay resurrects as well. Not really the greatest, but they're fine. Or revives, rather. If they could heal, like, if you could revive them and they could heal, that'd be kind of crazy, right? You just have, like, an army of Zakarum priests just, like, spamming heals on everybody. That would be kind of nuts. It's no wonder they turned that off, because that sounds absolutely broken. Like, that does sound absolutely broken. You just, like, go into, like, Uber Tristram or something, and you just have, like, a necromancer there with, like, a full army of Zakarum priests, and nobody's dying because they're just spamming heals on everybody. No life tap needed. Just a full army of Zakarum priests. Don't worry about it. I think that's pretty much it for these guys. There's really not a lot more to talk about. As always, I'd appreciate you guys and gals joining me. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button if you are enjoying the Monster Family series. And be sure to support the channel, because this is my full-time job. And as always, keep watching.